Les images que vous êtes en train de voir, c'est le début de la bataille d'Hostomel. Le 24 février 2022, les forces d'élite russes partent de Biélorussie pour l'aéroport. Quelques heures plus tard, l'armée ukrainienne arrive. Les affrontements sont flous. Personne ne sait qui contrôle réellement la zone. Selon la direction générale du renseignement du ministère ukrainien de la Défense, environ 20 BMD ont été détruits. Les Russes sont repoussés de l'aéroport. Le 4 mars 2022, les Ukrainiens engagent à nouveau les soldats du Kremlin. Ils arrivent à saisir du matériel, du personnel et des documents privés. Le 31 mars 2022, Hostomel est libéré par l'armée ukrainienne. Voici comment la guerre a démarré.
Can you introduce yourself, your name, your age, and your job?
Yeah, my name is Alex Borovensky. I am the theater director in Kyiv.
My name is Yana. I'm really glad that you invited me for this interview, and I'm 17 years old.
My name is Maxim Hryshchenyuk. I am the new principal of this school.
My name is Sergey, or Serge. Serge, that's the only thing I can say in French.
What are your worst fear here in Kyiv?
I think my worst fear would be get stuck in the elevator because of electricity cutouts, and I live on the 8th floor, and I'm lazy. I'm a theater director. So, when you travel and you go up, somehow I always go up in this, my worst nightmare. I go up in the elevator, Russians hit the electricity, you get stuck in the elevator, and then you die of starvation. I don't know why, but I always imagine this. But it's gonna take 40 days? Just whatever. But that's what I'm really afraid of.
I'm not sure that I have the worst fear about living in Kyiv, because it's not the most dangerous place right now in Ukraine. Of course, it's scary being in Kyiv during all these bombs falling, all these explosions, but at the same time, we are alive, and that's the great news, I guess.
And I'm a current lieutenant of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. But before the full-scale invasion, I was a civilian.
Okay.
So I was volunteered to join the army. And prior to that, I was a journalist as well. I was improv comedy actor. So I did a lot of good things and had fun.
Nice. What is your worst fear here in Kyiv?
My worst fear is that when we win, and I have no doubt that we will win with the help of all the world, when we win, that we keep many unworthy people in power that are too much involved in corruption, and I don't want that to happen. I'm afraid that they will make themselves heroes, but in reality it's the opposite. They were the ones that steal money from the army and the society and the people. So that's my worst fear, because winning in the battlefield is one thing, but then winning in the fight with corruption, that's a different war.
It's my 4th month of working here as a principal. I'm an English teacher, and I used to be a football coach.
What is your worst fear here in Kyiv?
My worst fears are connected with my relatives and my close people. since the beginning of the war, I already got used to all these explosions and dangers that are facing us every day here in Kiev. But the most fears is that, for example, my wife, at the beginning of the war, she left Kiev and she went to Poland. She spent there a year or so, and then she returned here to Ukraine. And for her, it's really difficult to get used to all of that. She always controlling the mobile phone, the news about shaheds, about rockets, missiles and everything. And for me, it's easier if I'm on my own. I can't say that I'm really frightened, scared, but I feel this. I'm really worried about them. And I know that my parents, they are in a safe place. They are in a village, maybe 2 hours from Kiev. But my wife, I know that sometimes when she's on the public transport and the air alarm starts, she's in panic. She doesn't know what to do, and she's calling me, asking me, "Hey, what are you doing? Can you take me, give me a lift somewhere," and so on. Yes, that's, I guess, the biggest fear.
Seeing this and that moon, which is on the left and on the right.
What is the most difficult things in Kiev in 2024?
Most difficult things in Kiev? Good question. I don't know really. Travel. The most difficult things to me is travel, because you can't. Before the invasion, it's not even 2024. Before the big invasion, you can just go to Boryspil, which is like several kilometers away from Kiev, and there's a huge airport, and you go there by local train, electrichka. You just hop on a plane and you go anywhere. And I used to. But now Boryspil is closed for 3 years already, and that's kind of like, it devoids the whole sense of travel inside the city. You go in Kiev, by marshutkas, by buses, by metro and stuff, but why are you going? You always do in circles. So it kind of feels like you're trapped in the city that doesn't let you go. So that's kind of difficult.
Maybe alarms during night. That's it. Because Kiev citizens, I guess all of us are not able to sleep very well, because every time we have shaheds. Is it like that in English too?
Yeah.
And of course it's scary when windows are trembling in your house and when you hear all these explosions. But at the same time, like as I said before, we are alive, and like that's not the most dangerous place right now in Ukraine. So good.
Have you think about leave Ukraine with your wife?
Actually, I should admit that I am a person with disability, and I left Ukraine for since the war started maybe 5 or 6 times, but I've never thought of leaving Ukraine for forever or for the ending of the war. Because I have a lot of responsibilities here since I'm the principal of the school. Another my worries that I didn't mention before, actually, these are my students, and I'm responsible for keeping them safe here. I'm responsible for making safe environment downstairs in the shelter, for making sure that everyone is safe and comfortable in there while it's the danger. So no, I've thought about it a lot, but I know for myself that I wouldn't feel comfortable abroad. I can leave, for example, I'm taking students, we're organizing different tours to Spain, to other European countries, but it's enough for spending like a week or two, and then we're coming back.
Okay. So you don't really scared about living here in Kiev?
Yeah, as I told you, I don't know why, but I'm not scared about myself. Maybe it's all because I have experienced a lot of different explosions. Some explosions were real close. And now I realized that nobody here in Kiev in real safety, because even the latest news about the Lithuanian or Estonian politician ambassador from Estonia who lives here in Kiev, even his hotel was attacked by Shahid. Can you imagine that? And this all is about like how lucky you are, because not our systems, they do not stop all the rockets. Some rockets, even if they stopped some damages from the rocket, they still hit buildings and so you can't be safe for. And I see I don't see any point in keeping yourself, worried all the time. Something like that.
Are you scared to live in Kiev right now?
No, not at all. I'm scared that the Kiev might be surrounded by Russian assholes one day, and they might take over the city like they tried to do in 2022. That's what I'm afraid of.
Do you think it's possible?
It is possible. Now, with all the new president of US, with all the changes in the world, with the duration of war, and yeah, it is possible.
Okay, it was one of my questions. What do you think about Trump election?
Well, Trump got elected and became a president. That's what I think. Do I think it's good or bad? I don't know, really. Time will tell. Well, we know for sure that Trump promised in his election campaign to stop the war in Ukraine within a day. Well, it still didn't happen. So it's not that easy. One president cannot change the situation just like that. And I don't really think that one person decides that much. So it's gonna take a lot of time. At the same time, I don't think that the truth is such a bad thing in general. So we shall see. I don't know.
You was in Kiev during the European Bucha occupation.
Yeah.
So what do you think when European Bucha was occupied? What the first things you have in your head at this time? I
was there. I mean, it's not just the things. In the beginning of invasion, I was here, living in the premises of the theater, so naturally we heard quite a lot, like firsthand. Not only the news we saw, the people coming out. My friends, the actors who work with my theater, they saved the dogs running from Irpin, and they still do it. For 3 years, they now have a dog shelter, and they never loved or had a dog before. So it does change the people. My actors and myself, we were working with journalists, and we went to Irpin and Bucha the first days of liberation of the occupation. And one of my friends, he went to Bucha and he saw the pile of dead bodies in the street before it was cleared up. And he came here, he said it to me, and I said, that was the last day I worked with journalists. I said, no, I'm not going anymore. I'm a theater person, way too much for me.
Okay.
Some of my friends still do, they still work with journalists, but they stopped doing theater. So it does affect people. That's what I think. I think it's horrible. The atrocities, the number of dead people, and that's my friend. He saw it. And, he's right now in the army, by the way. He joined.
When the war started and the European Bucha was captured, what do you think the first time when you heard that?
I think that's it's terrible. I don't know. The first thing was that how people can be so not like angry for another people, so how people can be such monsters, because it's terrible to kill all these like people who just want to live. And there was lots of news about these killed people, these children who were, I'm not sure how I can say it like in English, who are killed not in a really, who are killed in a specific way. And I get that's the worst thing. Like Russians, in my opinion, most of them, they're not people, they're just monsters.
Bon, petit point sur la situation. La précédente question parle des villes d'Irpin et Boutcha, 2 villes qui ont été investies par les Russes au début de l'invasion. L'objectif, contrôler Irpin, Boutcha et Hostomel, comme expliqué au début. Le 27 février, la bataille éclate dans la ville d'Irpin et de Boutcha, à une trentaine de kilomètres de Kiev. Le but, décapiter le pouvoir en place pour mener une guerre éclair. Si le Kremlin arrive à prendre la capitale ukrainienne, la guerre aurait pris une toute autre tournure. Lorsque les Russes ont perdu la bataille d'Hostomel, l'ordre de battre en retraite a été donné. Quand les troupes ukrainiennes sont entrées dans les 2 villes, ils découvrirent des massacres. Des dizaines de civils, les mains attachées, froidement abattus par l'armée russe. On dénombre au moins 419 victimes à Boutcha et 290 à Irpin. Selon le Washington Post, des civils ont été torturés, mutilés, décapités, leurs cadavres brûlés, et des femmes ont été violées selon certains témoins.
What is the worst place you have fight in your life?
I would say the worst was the first one. It was in Irpin, near Kiev, 10 kilometers from Kiev. It was the first time when we went there. It was scary because none of us trained to be soldiers. None of us. But thankfully to good sergeants and officers, we were good, but it was scary. That was the time when I thought several times that I will not come back.
So you was in Irpin when Russia invaded?
Yeah.
Okay, so you fight against them and you...
Yeah, and we liberated Irpin and Bucha.
Okay. How much time it take to liberate Irpin and Bucha?
We went to Irpin on March 15. They were there already for about 2 weeks. So we went on March 15, and April 1st, that's when they were moved away.
Okay.
So we were there for about 2 weeks. My unit, it was the first company of 130th Territorial Defense Battalion.
Okay.
So,
what is the most difficult things here in Kiev in 2024?
air defense, knowing that Kyiv is supposedly a peaceful city away from the front lines, but we experience every night the Russians are sending hundreds of UAV, the drones, and rockets. And so air raid sirens are, unfortunately has become part of our life here. And often, very often, the Russians target the buildings of civilians. And just a few days ago, another family, a mother and 3 children, were killed in their apartment, while the father just went to get some coffee in the kitchen. The other part of the building collapsed.
Oh.
And he remained in the kitchen, which was untouched. And his whole family got under the rubbish, and only the dead bodies were found.
When Russia attacks in 2022, are you surprised, or you was waiting for something like that for years?
Well, can't say I was surprised on one side, because I've been to Russia before, to the territory. I remember their attitude, local attitude, person to person. So they were like looking at me and say, you're from Ukraine. And there was like people, kind of like my friends. But the attitude of this, like, you Ukrainian, so you kind of like, we'll show you one day. It was there, I felt it. And it was 20 years ago.
Oh.
So, I believe it grew. But then, when I heard the first explosions on this 24th of February, I was not just surprised. I still have this feeling. The world kind of stopped on that day. Because to me, it's unthinkable.
Yeah.
To be inside of the war, I never thought I would have it in my lifetime. I never thought that it's possible in 21st century, like that this thing is possible. Bombings of city, killing civilians, killing my friends that I knew. It's like, I still do not take it.
Yeah.
3 years, I still don't take it. I'm probably slow, I still don't take it.
What is the most important thing you learned from the war?
The most important, I guess, people. People matter. And the more people you know, the easier it is for you. The more people you help, the easier it is for you. The more people know you. Like this, human power. Human power on the very low grassroots level. Because this is how it was, this is what I felt, that we could change things, and we did with the small theater and with like my friends, and it's like local initiative. You don't need big law or decree or something, like you just can't help this guy next to you, and then this and this and this. That's what I took from the theater, I guess, and from the invasion times. So I still have it, and it still helps.
Okay. Well, do you think if Ukraine fall, they will come and attack Poland, or they will stop?
They will not stop. It's like with a tiger or a bull terrier. Once he feels the blood and he feels that he can go unpunished, they will not stop. Yes, maybe for 2-3 years they will play out as they're cool, but they will not stop. They will continue provoking the Baltic countries. They will continue provoking Poland. They have a lot of grudges on Poland. They have a lot of issues that they want to deal with. So it all started when they took our Crimea, and the world didn't punish them. That's it. Now we see a full-blown, big-scale war in the heart of Europe. And so if they go unpunished, the evil will prevail. And the evil can stop only by a very strict action, and it needs to be punished.
The last question is, what do you think about Trump election in US?
I'm happy that the United States of America has used their rights to vote. Whatever the result is, I'm not the citizen of the United States to make my judgments. I just hope that the new government of the United States will see the threat and act more decisively and more strictly to punish evil. That's the only thing I want to say.
What do you think about Trump re-election?
So our mass media predicts that that's not the best choice for Ukraine, probably. But I feel like we shall see. I can't say anything about Trump. Personally, for me, he's not my favorite. I would prefer maybe Camilla as a president of the United States, but we will see. He promised that he would stop this war in 24 hours. We shall see. Maybe at least some negotiations will start. Maybe some dialogues will start. Definitely, I realized that his position is that Ukraine should refuse or Ukraine should leave the territory which right now occupied by the Russian army, and we shouldn't be joining any army alliances for 20 years or something. So I'm not sure if that's the worst scenario, but yeah, definitely we will lose a lot.
My name is Dennis Kondratyuk.
How old are you?
35.
Ok, avant toute chose, laissez-moi vous présenter ce monsieur incroyable, Denis. Denis, c'est pas un civil comme les autres. Déjà, il est prof d'histoire, d'où sa très grande compréhension du monde qui nous entoure. Mais surtout, c'est un ancien manifestant de l'Euromaïdan. Vous allez me dire, mais c'est quoi l'Euromaïdan ? Et vous auriez raison de vous poser la question. L'Euromaïdan, c'est une énorme manifestation qui a lieu juste après que le président de l'époque, Viktor Yanukovych, décide de ne pas signer l'accord d'association entre l'Ukraine et l'Union européenne fin d'année 2013 pour plutôt se rapprocher de la Russie.
Like a couple of groups of people actually kind of organized and understood that we need to not go this way, but to sign an agreement with European Union, which was legal and which was accepted by our parliament, and which our former president tried to overthrow during November 2013.
Des milliers de personnes se sont alors rassemblées sur la place Maïdan à Kiev pour réclamer la signature de ce traité. L'occupation de la place a duré 3 mois et 1 jour. Il y a eu des centaines de morts et de blessés. Connaître les événements de Maïdan semble indispensable pour appréhender le conflit actuel. Denis, lui, l'avait bien compris. Il savait que tôt ou tard, les Russes attaqueraient.
3 days before the invasion, we went out to Netherlands, and I knew that it's gonna happen. People didn't believe me, people laughed at me, my friends laughed at me, everybody laughed, and what I thought that we are doomed here in Ukraine because our government was disarming the army and was demining regions with Russia and was looking, very white flaggy. They knew that the war would be long. It wouldn't be ending in a couple of weeks.
Denis, comme beaucoup d'Ukrainiens, a décidé d'aider son pays en faisant des missions humanitaires.
We concentrated on a humanitarian project. We helped a Protestant church, not just people that I know of from that church. They found a village north from Kiev region, close to Chernobyl region, that was destroyed by Russians with rockets and bombs. It was partially destroyed, but village people didn't want to leave their places because it's hard. And we helped that village by removing the debris of explosions and buying a couple of temporary homes and helping to build the church that was helping them. They also decided they bought a piece of land and decided to build a church there for the people because the people in the village didn't know anything about it. But then when they got to know the people, they understood that they are fine and there's not much of a difference except of the rituals. In terms of the idea, there was not much of a difference, and they became proud that they now have a church of their own, a congregation that they can kind of come in. So we helped to do that.
La constante agression sur le territoire ukrainien a donné lieu à un trauma intergénérationnel. Pour Denis, c'est pour cela que les gens ne quittent pas leur maison, malgré les risques.
Village people didn't want to leave their places, it's hard because if you used to live, the whole thing in Ukraine that this is my land, that our ancestors were, like the Soviets and Russians tried to get rid of Ukrainians on our land for like 300 years, and this is a memory, like a trauma, so a lot of people are stubborn, and even though Russian advancing, they don't want to leave because of this couple of hundreds of years, like a multi-generational trauma of Russians trying to expel us from our lands, and then Germans trying to expel us from our lands, And it wasn't with someone somewhere. It was with people whom I know, or like my grandmother, for example, with whom I was friends until I was 14. So and then she died only when I was 14. So that influenced me a lot as well because she went through it, and it's part of my pain as well.
À ses yeux, on peut même parler de génocide de l'identité ukrainienne.
Genocide of Ukrainian identity, that's the Russian idea, to genocide Ukrainian identity. And their genocide is not the genocides as we've seen mostly before, because when we hear genocide, we think that they go and kill people, but they do that, but this is not their main goal. Their main goal is to devour us, is to conquer and to assimilate everything that we have into their own story. This is their idea, and to tell us that Ukrainian language that we speak with everyone here and Ukrainian history is made up by Austrians or British or Poles or whatever. They have different versions. So this is their idea.
If you have one things to say to the whole world.
To the whole world, that's...
What is it?
Our nation is important. I guess that all these people, we are victims of Russian aggression, and that's terrible. And that I guess that's important to say that Ukrainian history and Ukrainian culture is important to our world, because our people, our nation, lived on the earth since, I guess, 7th or even 5th century, if I'm not mistaken. So, very important.
One thing to say or to do to the whole world. Yeah. It's interesting. I don't know, maybe I would ask people to support Ukraine. I mean, I'm sure that there are a lot of people who are just people who are not aware of what is happening. They do not know the true story. Even in Russian Federation, I know that the mass media, they give a lot of fake information to people. So that's my message is that people should be critical towards what they read and listen in mass media and social media. And if they were looking for reasons and why everything is happening right now, they would understood that the Russia is wrong in this situation. Yeah.
We are the last line of defense between terroristic country, which is the Russian Federation, and the democratic Europe and the world. If we fall, don't be fooled. It will come to you. Please, make everything possible that we get everything we need, and not only in promises, but on time. Thank you for your help. Thank you that you have been with us. But please, contact your politicians. Tell them more how soon they need to act, because we're losing brothers and sisters, we're losing families, we're losing infrastructure, we're losing a peaceful life. Thank you.